Imagine uncovering a massive financial fraud, only to watch the executive hired to report it bury the evidence. This happened at a heavy manufacturing plant. In heavy industry, operations rely on large-scale raw material procurement. Because of the immense volume of capital moving through these contracts, the supply chain is a frequent target for price fixing and kickbacks. To manage these risks, an internal audit field team was assigned a routine review. Their task was to evaluate how vendors for major structural steel contracts were onboarded and analyze their historical pricing trends. In resource-heavy operations like this, a weak supply chain audit leaves the company's capital exposed to systematic, ongoing depletion. Instead of relying on standard manual checks, the field team used data analytics to comb through years of bidding data. This allowed them to identify patterns in the numbers that manual sampling would likely miss. They identified a bid rotation scheme. 3 major steel vendors were colluding, taking turns winning bidding rounds to ensure a specific market share. The data showed the cost. Winning bids were tracking 18 to 22% above benchmarked market rates for raw steel. The math was specific. Over a 2-year period, this cartelization resulted in a quantifiable loss of 15 crore rupees. The field team drafted a critical risk report. They detailed the mechanics of the fraud and quantified the loss, and recommended the immediate termination and blacklisting of the involved vendors. Data analytics provides the visibility needed to flag these patterns, but that insight only serves the organization if the reporting pipeline remains unobstructed. Standard corporate governance dictates that the Chief Audit Executive, the CAE, reviews the field team's draft report before it is formally presented to the audit committee. However, this organization had a structural flaw. The CAE reported exceptionally to the managing director, creating a conflict of interest at the top of the audit chain. The managing director had a close, undisclosed personal relationship with the implicated procurement head and moved to intervene. The MD pressured the CAE to suppress the findings, citing the need to protect the company's market reputation and to handle the matter internally without involving the board. The CAE yielded to this pressure, which functionally dismantled the independence of the internal audit team. Corporate governance fails when personal C-suite relationships are allowed to take precedence over fiduciary duties to the board. To hide the fraud from the audit committee, the CAE made specific, calculated alterations to the field team's original report. The original critical risk warning on page 1 was downgraded to a moderate rating and buried on page 42. The title of the finding was scrubbed. 15 crore financial leakage was swapped for the vague phrase, process improvement needed. The final report omitted the 15 crore loss figure entirely and removed the recommendation to terminate the vendors. This type of administrative sanitization can erase a critical risk from the board's view by hiding the evidence in plain sight. The cover-up held for a year until a newly appointed external statutory auditor arrived to evaluate the company's financial controls. Rather than relying on executive summaries, this auditor requested the raw data and the original working drafts directly from the field team. The discrepancy was immediate. The field papers detailed a massive fraud, while the presentation given to the audit committee described only minor administrative hurdles. The statutory auditor followed escalation protocols, bypassing management to take the evidence directly to the chairman of the audit committee. While executives can override reports, the raw data and field notes leave an indelible paper trail. The audit committee launched a forensic probe. The CAE and the procurement head were terminated for cause, and the managing director lost the board's confidence. The audit methodology itself worked. The breakdown occurred in the reporting structure, where a lack of anonymous whistleblower channels left the field team silenced. In professional practice, management is entitled to disagree with an audit finding, but they lack the authority to censor it. Robust structures prevent this by requiring a dedicated management response column for disputes, and by ensuring the CAE reports functionally to the audit committee, not the CEO. Effective boards also mandate private sessions with the CAE to ask directly if management has pressured them to alter or suppress any findings. An organization's financial integrity depends on its willingness to protect the absolute independence of its auditors.